we all hit this pocket where, man, we dream of playing overseas. We dream of being a pro and doing our thing overseas. Whether you go to Russia, you go to China, you go to Australia, someplace in Europe, you do your thing over there. You're like, man, I can't wait for this dream to come true, right? Well, everything that glitters ain't gold. And as Ms. Nadia explains, it was a rough patch trying to get overseas and the whole understanding of what went on over there. It's a lot that went against her and weren't the most favorable things. It's more than just being homesick. It's more than just the adjustment being overseas. It was a lot for her. And we're going to get into it because I want you guys to have both sides of the story. So we have other guys who were pros and who had a better experience and had difficult challenges, but she's a different case where it was a lot more negatives than good she saw from it at first. So I want you guys to have a full, clear view of what it's like to be overseas. So you're gonna tune into her story, and it's gonna be a really good one. It's a dope interview. She's a dope young lady. You guys gonna enjoy this one. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the episode. Yo, welcome into the BeBall Jones podcast. The goal of this podcast in my business is to bridge the gap, to fuel hoop dreams into impactful realities on the court and beyond. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the BeBall Jones podcast. I am here with a very special guest. What's going on, Ms. Nadia?
Nothing much. Just got back to the United States.
Just got back from where exactly, if you can share with us?
I was in Bosnia. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't tell you exactly where it is on the map, but I can point to the area. I wasn't by any water or anything, and the nearest airport was 4 hours away in Serbia. But I will say it was like Bosnia is pretty like big, but I was in a smaller, like the bottom part. So
You know what's interesting? Yeah, you're the first female pro hooper, well, overseas pro hooper I've had on the podcast. So,
oh, this is gonna be bad. You should have started with a better story. Now, well, it has a good ending. So hopefully they don't take my story and just like let that.
But here's the thing though. It's gonna be okay. All right. Because like on one side, it's just the truth. I think we need both sides of it. You feel me? But on the other side of it, I feel good because I remember saying out one day, like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna get a pro female hooper on here that's overseas that can share that habit stuff." Because nobody talks to the female hoopers. Like, it's always guys. Like, I'm guilty of this too. I've had like a handful of guys who've been overseas. I haven't got a female hooper, so you're the first one. So, in spite of the outcome of the story, yeah, I fulfill. I'm a man of my word. You feel me? So I feel good about that. And overall, it's still gonna be a good episode. So, feel good about that at least.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool, man. You are the first, so we're breaking ground here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wish I had like some special effects. I'll put like something right like, here. I don't know
how they do on FaceTime when you do like a thumbs up and they just have like a thumbs up bubble.
No, I got something different because I gotta be unique. I don't want to copy nobody. It's just something unique. I don't know, but yeah, it's gonna be fun today. So, give us like a small intro of who you are, what you've had going on, and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, like you said, my name is Nadia Thorman-Mckey. I went to high school in Illinois. And my first year of college, I stayed close to home. It was like 45 minutes from home. I was downtown Chicago in AIA playing. And in high school, I was kind of one of those people that was just like, I'm doing everything. Volleyball, soccer, dancing. Like, I wasn't really locked in with basketball. I just knew I liked to stay active. So eventually, like, kind of at the end, like, I only did 1 year AAU. So that was like me kind of, branching off into like figuring out what I wanted. And I figured out by then that I was like, okay, basketball is it. So everything else was kind of like background noise. But, I wasn't introduced to the basketball world like quick. it was like I've been playing sports, but I'm not the basketball world.
Mm-hmm.
So, in high school, people get their offers they have communications with coaches, they have other people trying to help them. But me, it was just kind of like I was emailing, like, okay, do y'all have a scholarship? Like, I don't have really film because I wasn't one of those players that got minutes and just had 25 points. I
Mm-hmm.
was the athletic person that got the rebounds, played good defense. That was it. I wasn't strong shooter, nothing. But then I went in the IA and I ended up starting as a freshman, which was shocking because everybody's like, when you're a freshman, don't expect anything. You need to come in, you need to prove yourself. So I was like, okay, I might be good. And so I kind of really locked in and I ended up going JUCO in Missouri. And it was a program that was successful with my high school. Like my coach told me about it, all this. They already had players that went through there. I got there and we won 4 games. It was really like 4-25. And the program, I think the year before that was the downfall and it was just going down. But I didn't really okay, they had one bad year. It's not gonna be our year.
Mm-hmm.
He's telling me he had this and that, and I was like, oh my God, you don't have this. But once again, it was still like I just like basketball. So that was a learning experience. And then that's when I was averaging like 19. But people aren't going to the worst team in the world and they're like, yeah, we want this player that's averaging 19 because it's like y'all are still losing.
Mm-hmm.
So that and right at the end of the season is when COVID hit. So it's not like coaches were coming, like everybody was just kind of like freaking out and people weren't really invested. It was like if you're D1, you're D1. If you're a prospect, they're focusing on you, but they're not going out to find players just because it's COVID. So
Mm-hmm.
I had some communications with Western Michigan, and that was like my first D1. And I was like, okay, like I want to go D1. This is why I came JUCO, and I just was getting involved. Like I was like really putting my foot forward, and then I got an offer from Sam Houston, Chicago State. Those were like my D1 offers. And Chicago State, I wanted to go there my first year, but people were like, it's a failing program. Like the school is failing too. So that was like not really big for me. So all the other schools basically were bad vibes. But I was like, okay, I'm going to help rebuild the program at Chicago State. I don't know why I thought I was going to do that. It didn't happen. The It wasn't even like that the basketball was really bad. It was, but the school was too. So it was like I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing bad basketball and my education is like it wasn't like I wasn't learning. Like it was really good grades, but you could tell like I see what they mean when they say the education was failing. Nobody's gonna take you seriously if they're like, okay, yeah, you did this here. No. So I did get an offer from Tuskegee that year going into COVID, but I was like, no, I worked too hard for this. I'm going D1. So shouldn't have did that. But after Chicago State, I did end up going to Tuskegee, and because I transferred so much, I had to sit out a year. So I used the sitting out as my COVID year, and then I got to play last year, and that was interesting. I think that was the first being at Tuskegee was probably the best decision I made, but that was the first time that I realized how much like women's basketball is about politics. At first, I thought that was all men because I'd never had that problem, but it was just definitely like if you know people, you know people. So that was hard for me, but I still enjoyed the game, and then now I'm here.
Mm.
So,
Explain the politics of it.
uh, um, well, I got to see how I want to say this because I know everybody's grown, but it's if you know people, you're gonna get more. I say like if you've been there longer, you'll probably get more because you have better connections.
Mm.
If you score 30 points but you play no defense, as long as you're scoring, you're gonna play. So it's
So you weren't a 30-point scorer, is what you're telling me.
no, I had to figure out that was also a struggle for me. I had to figure out where I was gonna fit in. Cause coming like high school obviously was high school. That was high school. But being in college, I was able to score how I wanted. I felt like it was really like a team, even if we sucked. It was like obviously like we were playing together. Obviously there's those games that we didn't, but it wasn't like one person. It was just everybody was getting their buckets. Everybody knew what they wanted to do. I was getting accolades. I know my first year I won freshman of the year. Um I had a whole bunch of accolades. Even though the programs weren't the best, this was still like within the other teams we were playing, I was still getting these accolades. And Tuskegee is the first school that I went to that I didn't get any accolades. And it was just like, okay, if I'm not scoring, what am I gonna do? And I know my thing was taking charges. I was like, shoot, if I'm not gonna get the ball scoring wise and my defense is gonna do this, I'm just gonna take a charge. So I know I had like a bet with people and I was getting like my parents like, okay, you do this, we gonna give you this. And I was like, okay. So I know I took a whole bunch of charges and my body definitely felt it, but I was like, that's what we need. So
So you're more of a defensive, not necessarily a lockdown player, but you kind of like to do it all defensive glue person. Would that be accurate?
yeah. And I think that comes from playing in high school, being athletic, because
Mm-hmm.
it was like, once again, I wasn't the person that was in the gym 4 or 5 hours. It's like you come into practice, you get the work done, and then you leave. Because I was busy running off. Like after practice, I'm like, I gotta go to dance. Like y'all gonna catch me later. I'm not going to shoot no balls, nothing. So I've never been like, I think being like in high school, I mean in college, it's been nice to see my growth, like getting in the gym or trying to find workouts or actually lifting weights. Because I didn't start lifting weights till Tuskegee. Because I know,
Dang.
like, y'all know, Chicago State, it was like COVID. So obviously, we were COVID testing every day. We were trying not to be like close. So we only really had practices. Um, my JUCO had weight programs, but it's like, it's JUCO. Everything goes wrong, JUCO. So you can't really rely on that. But I didn't like really start taking life, like everything with basketball until Tuskegee because it's like, you got there, you were conditioning, you were lifting weights, you were handling school. Like it was never like everything at once. It was just like bits and pieces. Okay, we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna focus on this, we're gonna focus on that. But Tuskegee is where everything came together. So
Mm. So if you could go back to high school, you like freshman year, would you still do a little bit of everything, like you said, the dance and playing all the different sports, or would you go back and like lock in on basketball sooner?
I think I would lock in on basketball sooner, but still like be able to experience everything else because
Mm-hmm.
in middle school is when I started basketball. Well, I started that in elementary school, but I mean, it's elementary school. Middle
Yeah.
school, I had fun. I did basketball and soccer. And then high school was like basketball, volleyball, and dance. So I would say my freshman year, I might have done everything, but it would have been more basketball centered. Because the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I just had 1 year at AAU, I definitely would have enjoyed like seeing this because being in AAU, you start to see like, okay, this is what I want. There's so many other people that are focused on this. Like you can see, okay, she's doing this. Maybe I should do that too.
Mm-hmm.
There's college coaches like this is serious, but that 1 year is just like you're getting all this information, you're traveling, you're
Mm-hmm.
seeing all the people. You're like, this is what I want to do, but now it's too late because
Yeah.
your name isn't like out there for real.
You think you would have got bigger offers if you had, played 2 years at least?
I think so, just because people always want that player that plays defense and rebounds. I might not have been doing the 30 points a game thing, but um the defense and the rebound, like I'm the person you throw in into the game, like, okay, yeah, she's gonna get that defense in. She's gonna do this. You might not put me in to score that three, but the
Mm-hmm.
defense, that was gonna be it. So and I've never been the player where coaches complain about attitude, nothing. So I always have like whenever I go on, I always have my coaches backing me up. Like, yeah, this is a standout player when it comes to coachability and all that.
So you're trying to tell me I don't have to score 30 points? Well, as a young lady, at least. You don't have to score 30 points to be an overseas player, is what you're saying.
Surprise. Okay, so maybe it's just me, but when I went overseas, like this experience, and then some of the players that I played this summer, um, I was shocked just because I feel like I wasn't where I needed to be at athletically and skill wise. Like
Hmm.
it always go up, but just the players that I've seen is just like okay, everybody kind of find their groove. Granted, like Americans, they really do expect you to have like 25 and up, but there's so many other things that factor into this. So it's like they really just want you to be a standout player. If you can score that extra 30, that's just extra money for you.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that is kind of stereotypical from what I hear. It's like the players that are foreign, well, the players that are from that area, because they're foreign to
Mhm.
us, it's not over there. Players that are from that area, they're more like the scrappy role player type of thing. And the American come over and they're like one of the best 2, 3 players usually. They're the ones who like have the extra skill going off
Yeah.
scoring 20, 30 points. So it is kind of unique to not be that player, but still have a role over there. Um,
hmm
so did you set out to be an overseas player, or did you just kind of like fall in your lap and you were like, oh, okay, that's cool. I guess I'll do that too.
Okay. My reasoning behind this is kind of dumb, but when I was like in my JUCO, well, my freshman year, I just enjoyed basketball, but I didn't like the school side because I hadn't figured out what major I wanted to do. And I didn't
Hmm.
find psychology until like the end of my JUCO year. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. So it was like, I'm not ready to be an adult. Let's see how long basketball takes me. So I was like, I don't want a career where I have to like use my degree yet. I want to see how far I can take it basketball wise. So that was me saying, okay, I'm going to go overseas. It was never like, I want to be in the WNBA. I just want to get money by playing basketball, doing what I love.
Hmm.
So that's where it started. And if I was to stop playing now, I feel like my mindset has changed because I do love my degree. And I feel like whenever I'm done, I'll enjoy going into the medical field. But I don't know, I enjoy it. It's just not
Hmm.
like it's only that now.
Mm. It is unique because I think girls are totally different from guys when it comes to that. You have a handful of girls who are like, yeah, I want to play in the W and, play overseas, but they're not going to push as hard as the guys will to make that dream come true. It's like, it didn't work out. All right, cool. I'll just go get
Yeah.
my job and,
Yeah, I'll
do
just
whatever.
go work a 9 to 5. It's whatever.
Yeah.
That's how
So,
I was feeling. So at first it was like stressful because I was like, oh my God, I can't work this 9 to 5. I will not do that. But
mhm,
as I've gotten older and I figured out what I love, I actually do enjoy working. So like after this whole whatever just happened, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm going to work my 9 to 5 in
mhm,
America and be fine with being tired and doing whatever because I'm comfortable with it. But just being able to take the emotions out of it, I feel like I still do want to play until I can't anymore because I've never been one that's prone to injuries, but I don't want to play until like I can barely walk. Like I
mm,
still do I just want to have fun, really.
mm. Okay, I'm gonna be patient. So, what happened from Tuskegee to overseas? Like, explain to me how the introduction of overseas became a thing to you going over there.
Okay, so I was actually blessed with having the strength and conditioning coach at Tuskegee. She went to South Carolina when they like won big. So we had the strength and conditioning coach and our assistant coach was they both played together at South Carolina. So those were like big people that played
Mm,
overseas. Like they played at one of the biggest colleges for women. So I was like, I introduced like the lifestyle of, I want to do this, I want to do that. Just like, throwing it out there. And so she really was one of the main people that was like helping me. Okay, you can't do this. You can't eat like this. You can't do this. Like, you have to have it a certain way, basically. And so she kind of guided me through it. And I know one of my coach's friends was able to reach out and he was like, okay, you can go to this event, or this event. And it's kind of like, it was in Dallas. and it was like a 3 or 4 day event, and we were literally just doing drills and playing. And that's when we had games and stuff, and it was agents on the side just watching, and they were like, you can play, you can do this. If they like you, they'll reach out. So at the end of that, my agent reached out on the last day, and he was like, I want to work with you. um I think you're like, you're athletic. I like how you play defense, and obviously there's other stuff that we can work on, but I really do feel like it'll be successful overseas. So that was the first offer that I had. And then as I was walking out the door, somebody else gave me their card. It was a little less serious because it wasn't like a sit down. It was just like a hit me up because I'm an agent. And so I was
Mhm.
like, okay. And then once I got home, I was posting a few highlights from that event, and somebody messaged me on Instagram, and he was like, I want to work with you, this and that. So I pretty much brought those to Coach Aisha, which is the girl that played. And I was like, okay, like, what do you think about this? And we kind of just sifted through the pros and the cons, and I ended up working with the agent that I have now. And so I
Mhm.
signed with him, and then my family moved out to California, so I was out here, and I just decided to work, and I picked up a job and was pretty much just waiting while I was working out and stuff. I was pretty much waiting for him to hit me up. And at first, it was kind of frustrating because it was like he was telling me that it's harder to pick up a job because I went D2, but it was like some of the stuff that we were doing at Tuskegee were more complex than I was doing at Chicago State. Granted, that wasn't a good program, but I was still saying like the other teams that we were playing, I definitely could tell like Tuskegee was up there with them. You know, the divisions don't matter, but
Mhm.
it also made it hard because I don't have any accolades at this Tuskegee. So, um, I had two offers, and I was kind of sifting through them. It just wasn't where I wanted to be. I knew what I was capable of, and I knew what I had put into it to get there. And I was like, this is not, you know. But I saw everybody going overseas, and I was like, oh, like, let me just pick one. Let me not be greedy. And, the first year is to put your foot in the door. So I was like,
Mhm.
I got to take all this stuff out of my head, and I just need to put my foot in the door. And then I'll get exactly what I want next year because people going to know my name, people going to know my stats. So that was kind of how it was introduced. But my family is very supportive, but they're not in the basketball world. They're just here to like back me up. So
Mhm.
once again, like with the AU and stuff, it's mostly me, and then I try to find like people that have already been in this position or know a little bit about it, and then they tell me, and we could like discuss that.
Mm. Yeah, I think overseas lifestyle and the journey of getting over there, I think is very unique and it's very honestly like a hidden gem, but like kind of not as well known. Like we all understand the process of getting to the NBA or WNBA a lot more. Like you go to college, NBA is a little more like whirlwind of like you go here, here, here now. But
Hmm.
traditional route is you go to college, you get drafted or you get unsigned, end up going to a training camp or whatever. Hopefully you get picked up. If not, you go to back then it was D League, but now it's G League, and you try to work your way through to get to the pros. But overseas is like, you don't know for the most
Yeah,
part.
you don't. And every year is different. So, and I
Yeah.
even hit up the girl that was on the team that I went to, and I was just asking her about like her experience. She showed me a picture of the room, and I was like, "This is a red flag. Like, I can't do this." But at the same time, I was like, what she was telling me was like she's a picky eater. She didn't like their food. Um, it was an interesting year for her, and she showed me a few pictures, and I was like, this is going to be horrible. But then I was like, okay, this is her experience. I'm gonna have
Mhm.
mine.
Mhm.
So I should have listened to her, but I'm glad that I was able to navigate this on my own. But there was definitely red flags. I just didn't want to be the person that was like, no, just because somebody else said it. So
How was the room a red flag? Like, what did she show you?
she showed me a picture from the door, and it was just two beds. I think they're smaller than twin XLs over there, because twin XLs are like, it was pretty much two twin beds,
Mm.
and there's
And with
there's
you
no like
being
lamp or nothing. It's just like an overhead light, 2 twin XL beds, and a mini drawer.
Kind of like a college dorm, but
It was a
smaller.
dorm. Yeah.
Dang.
Yes.
Okay, I can understand that, but
And mind you, I have never really been in a dorm either. So like at my first year at Roosevelt, that is a very high end school. So my dorm was inside. The beds weren't, they're like the regular wooden, like it wasn't that. It was metal that you could like crank up, and my view was literally the Chicago skyline and half of the lake. Like the doors were all windows. So I was in like my dorm was on the 25th floor. So I was like living good. Then JUCO was like JUCO, but it still wasn't
mm-hmm,
overseas.
mm-hmm,
Tuskegee, I got put in an apartment, and then my last year I paid for the apartment. So I never really got the dorm experience. But
mm.
so well, this is it. I got it now. I'm not gonna do it again.
If you had to summarize your first year overseas in one word, what would it be?
Okay, I won't say my first year. I'll say my first experience because I will. I plan on going back. But one word,
Mhm.
I don't know what words I'm allowed to say. Am I allowed to say anything?
Uh, keep it family friendly, please.
I don't know if this word is feeling friendly. I'll say discouraging,
Mm,
I guess. Cause I was gonna say like bad, but like I don't know. I tried to find because my aunt asked me this the other day. She was like, "Was there anything good that came out of it?" And I literally said no, because there wasn't. The only thing that I really enjoyed was the lady that was watching my dog and the kids that asked to take pictures. But it wasn't even
mm,
all the kids because some of the kids were really mean. Like just the culture over there is just like really stuck up and like looking down on other people that are different. So like you can tell like when kids are like pointing and snickering or trying to take secret pictures, like just ask to take a picture.
mhm.
But it was just really bad. I wanted to say if we're just talking about basketball right now, bad.
Hmm. I think that you can find more good, but it's not the time for that right now.
And I would even say that if I wasn't in a village, like if I was in a town, I think I would have
Mhm,
been able to find more because I would have been able to go out on my own. But I was literally in a village. So like when you think of a village, it's like the town square, and then everywhere is like there were dogs everywhere, like stray dogs. There's goats in their place. Like there's no fast food. They're all like family restaurants. And then like there's the bars where the men just sit outside. Like this it wasn't
mhm,
a town overseas. It was literally a village. So I feel like maybe if I would have got like a town, then I could have taken a bus or a train to the next nearest town, or I could have, just ventured out and tried
mhm,
new foods. But when you're in a village, villages are very like confined. So
mhm.
even going over to the next town, it would be like 45 minutes to an hour. And that was
Dang.
like, I would had to figure that out on my own. So I didn't really do that at first. But when my aunt came, I was able to do that with her. But even navigating that, they don't have a bus schedule. So it's like, the people know. So like when you ask, they're like, "Oh, I don't know." But like they know, but there's no actual, you know, schedule to get
Mhm,
around. So that just made it hard too because not a lot of people spoke English. If you use the Google Translate, like that was fine, but there wasn't like I couldn't jump on my phone and be like, "Okay, I'm going to Chicago for the first time, but here's a bus schedule, here's a train schedule, so I know how to get home." It was like
mhm.
once you're out, you're out, and if you can't come back, it's just
So how did you end up figuring out your way around? Did you like go out enough?
I can't say that I did.
I ain't mad at you. I probably wouldn't have either if I couldn't figure it
I
out.
was I was stressed. Like I barely I went to the grocery store and that was literally it. And when I say I went to the grocery store and you're talking about going out, there was nothing to do. So like in our town, there was food places. It was like a food place that was like this. So there's like food places, and then you walk and everybody sits outside. So when you walk, like necks are turning as you're walking. And then there's like a grocery store here, a gym here, houses, that's it. Like there was no like, let me go shopping, let me do this. You're not getting that. Like so
So this is literally just food and the
in a
gym. That's all
school,
you got.
food, a school, and a grocery store.
Hey, hold on. Time out real quick. We're gonna get back to the episode. I know you're enjoying it. I know you're enjoying the show. But I need you to help me real quick and to make sure this episode can grow, make sure this podcast and show can grow overall, and you can keep getting great guests like this. Make sure that you subscribe and follow along. So if you watch right now on YouTube, help me out by hitting the subscribe button. Okay, go ahead and do it real quick. If you're listening in your car, chill out for a second. If you're on Apple or on Spotify, just like when you get a moment, hit the follow button, but not right now while you're driving. If you're working out or something, or you chilling in your room, then go ahead and subscribe with me. Like, help me help you, okay? But thank you for watching. I really appreciate you. I'm gonna stop interrupting. Let's get back to the episode. Thank you. How did you survive mentally? Like, how was that?
I don't think I did. I feel like I was going crazy. Um, I had a really bad sleep schedule. I would stay up till like 3 or 4 in the morning just so I can get sanity, like talking to people that were 6, 9 hours away. I think that's where I got like my just feeling more connected to home. I would stay up so that I could talk and like I feel like a lot of my sanity came from talking out my experience. It
Mm,
may have sounded like complaining, but I enjoy when like people listen. Like you'll never guess what happened today, and I would just go on a rant about everything. Like that made me feel better because it was like I couldn't express anything because I didn't want to be the angry black woman, like the only one in town. So it was like I
mhm,
always had like a simple face, like no anger, just like whenever they said something, I would say okay. But it was just like venting to people back home and just explaining to them like this is really crazy. I'm in a village in Bosnia and it's not like you can just go like to get to the airport. I had to go through 4 checkpoints to get into Serbia because we're crossing a border. So this wasn't just like you can just go home. No, this was like first of all, it was 4 hours to even get to the airport. So it was like I had to explain everything and everything was so different. The food did not agree with me at all. So then I was like, okay, I'm a cook because I like to cook. But even the groceries, everything is healthy. There was no canned goods, there's no seasonings. They just enjoy like onion powder, paprika, and that's it. And like vegetable, like just vegetable seasoning. I didn't try that, but it was like they're they focused on other stuff that I just don't eat. So it
mhm,
was like even if I was trying to find comfort in food, I couldn't because I just really didn't enjoy it. I know I don't really like ketchup or mayo, and the thing over there is ketchup and mayo. So even like when we would get pizza, like my teammates would cover their pizza with ketchup and then go over that with mayo. And I was like, this is like really insane to me. I'm not understanding. Like, first of all, ketchup already is crazy on a pizza, but the mayo, like these people enjoyed it. I think I took pictures and I had posted on my YouTube. But if you go in a grocery store, there's a whole aisle for like mayo, different types, and then there's a whole aisle for ketchup. Like these people, they knew what they liked, and I just didn't
mhm.
like it. So
That's a little OD because that's a lot of tomatoes on
no, that
one
is it
thing.
was. There's one thing to like have like cultural, but just being obsessed with ketchup and mayo. Like I know I went to stores or like when we went out to eat, and I'm like, "Hi, do you have any other condiments?" And they'll be like, "Ketchup." I'm like, "Oh, great, thanks." So my aunt brought me like I had a bottle of barbecue sauce that I just kept on me. because you don't get nothing but ketchup and mayo. Like, um, this I was trying to the first time I was ordering stuff, I was trying to figure out what I liked because I didn't want to be that person that just didn't eat. So the first week I
Hmm.
did try, didn't like it, but I ordered a cheeseburger. This burger had mayo oozing out of it, like when she set it down. So already, like, I'm not trying to eat this. I opened the
Hmm.
burger up, like, it's not. They didn't have cheddar cheese either. So it was like a
Hmm.
white cheese that was melted on it. I didn't know what it was. They had fries in the burger. They don't do lettuce, they do cabbage. So there was cabbage on the burger. And then on the menu it said pickles. I was like, okay, something I like. I'll eat that off. They're raw cucumbers. I'm not eating this. Like, I'm not eating this. Like, you have an insane. This is like a burger that SpongeBob will make. A burger with fries, mayo, cabbage, and cucumbers. This is insane.
Oh man.
And it was so
Oh
hard because you don't
man.
want to be like culturally disrespectful, but I just
Hmm.
can't. I can't get with it. I couldn't.
Okay, so you're already uncomfortable with the travel. You don't know how to get around.
Hmm.
You can't really eat for real because
It's
it's
not it.
SpongeBob Krabby Patties. You feel me? So you can't get around with that. Basketball wasn't what you expecting to. We even get into that yet, but we're gonna get there. How did you function with getting on the court with the lack of rest and eating? Like, how was your play? I'll say that at least.
See, that's it affected me. I
Hmm.
know. My first three games, it really did affect me. I was not playing how I wanted to because I wasn't eating or sleeping, but also just because I was stressed. Um, for one, I got there Saturday, right, and we had practice on Sunday. I met the girls Saturday night because we got to the house at like 10, 11 because the 4 hour trip back from the airport. And the next day, at first they were like, they were kind of nice. They're asking me questions, asking to see film. I just gave it to them. We are having questions about like family and stuff. They're like, yeah, they're excited to meet you. And I was like, yeah, me too. I'm a little nervous, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe some people like will know some English. Like, I wasn't expecting nobody to know English.
Hmm.
So the people in the house, it was, first of all, it was four people to a two-bedroom. And already the European lifestyle is very minimized. So for four people, we had a mini fridge, and that's uncomfortable. There's twin beds, and my agent had told me something about my own room. So I'm like, okay, that makes sense because time difference, like, I'm be up. But now it's three people in one room and one me in another room. And that was another reason why they didn't like me. They told me that because they didn't want to have three people to one room. It's like, okay, what does that have to do with me? Like, but the shower was insane because it's like four people. The water would go cold so quick. The washer and dryer, we were lucky to have that though, because I know a lot of like Europeans, they just hang their stuff up or they have like certain days where they can wash. So the washer and dryer was really small, but
Hmm.
the living the living was a lot. Oh, what was I saying? Okay, yeah, so practice. I got there Sunday and I was already stressed, but that was like my own stuff. It was nothing that I had learned yet. The whole 2 hour practice was not in English. So these girls have been with each other now for 2 weeks conditioning and doing practice scrimmages. And I was the only American that came. So I was like, okay, I'm trying to fit in, but I don't even know what they're saying. Like coach didn't know English. So he's yelling in his language and doing his thing, and I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out what's being said. But when I ask, they'll be like, "Oh, nothing to do with you," or "We'll tell you later." And when you say that, like, I know you're not gonna tell me later. I'll just be like, "Okay,
Hmm.
like, it's fine." But I was literally going based off what they were like actually doing. And
Hmm.
me being the starter, because like, they want the Americans to play. So back home, you ask questions, cool. Here, you couldn't ask questions because they didn't understand what you were asking for. Like coach, like I said, wasn't speaking English. So I came the first day, no English, and he sprung 4 plays on me. And like while learning it, everybody's so upset because I'm not getting it. They're like, "Ugh." And I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, we'll be going down, and like, you could yell like 22, 22, but they're saying whatever in their language because, once again, they're not strong with English and they're comfortable with each other. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of like, remember how certain sounds like stick together. So if they say something that I don't know, I'm like, okay, they said this last time and we did this. So that's
Mhm.
already overwhelming. And my brain hurt just because, like, when you learn new stuff, sometimes it just gets overwhelming. So that first practice was a lot. And then it just kind of got worse from there.
Mm. How are you doing right now? You okay?
I'm okay. I I'm so happy that I'm home and that segment of my life is over. Um, I think the amount of stress that I listen, when I went over there, I was 175, and that's a good weight for me. Like, that's what I'm used to. I weighed myself yesterday and I'm 164. So in a
Mm.
month, that is a lot for me because I'm very consistent, and it's not like I know what I'm like. Even when I got off the plane, my mom was like, "Did you lose weight?" It's like, "Yes, mother. I've been stressed." So I know that was a lot for me, but just because like I don't, I'm not the type of person to just lose weight, and I also don't
Mhm.
stop eating. But I know like there was so much going on that it was literally just like so hard to do anything.
Mhm.
So I'm happy
Oh,
that
I got to put this in the frame too. All this has happened within a month, correct?
yes, yes. Oh, I didn't even bring up the part you were asking about basketball. So the fact that I
Mhm.
wasn't eating and sleeping and I wasn't understanding, and then also like the body language from the girls, just like reading into how they're acting with me, I could tell there was animosity, but I couldn't figure out where it was coming from because we weren't really speaking, but we were always saying
Mhm.
like hi and like I'll ask questions, but there was still like this edge to it. So that was stressing me out too because I wasn't sure what I was doing wrong. Whenever they said stuff, I'd say okay and I'd do it as quickly as possible. But like the first 3 games I was just like, okay, this is like I don't know what's going on, but I cannot get this. And like you could tell if you watch the games, like I was getting all my points from rebounds and like my own stuff because it was like they were working around me. So I was working against the other team, but also them because it was like we weren't working together. So I didn't want to blame that on the fact that maybe they didn't like me. I figured it was just like, okay, they've been playing together. But come to
Mhm.
find out, the first practice that I went to was the first practice that they ever picked up a ball because they had just been running. So that was weird to me. But after those 3 games, I was still like leading, like the second leading in those stats, but it wasn't where I needed to be. And I knew they were happy with it, but they
Mhm.
were still playing me like the 40 minutes. So it's like, when you go overseas, you do one thing wrong, they're sending you home. At first, I was stressed about that, but then it was just like, okay, maybe I just need to go home because this isn't the program that's going to be successful for me or for them because we're just not, coming to terms with something. So they told me that I told my agent all this, and he's gonna figure it out. And he was like, a little after I came to him, the club came to them, and they were like, "We want to send her home. She's not as good as we thought. This and that." And any other time, I would have been stressed about it, but I was like, I just need to go home because I'm not done playing basketball, but this is not a program where I feel that I'm going to be successful. So once my agent confirmed that, I was happy and I realized like I started doing stuff on my own. I tried to go out and cook and the stress a little less. It was my fault because now all of a sudden my stats started going up because I wasn't as stressed. So they came back and they were like, "Actually, we're gonna keep you." Like, no, please don't. I don't want to be here. So they listened. They were like, "Wait, you don't?" And I was like, "No. I just rather be with." I tried to keep it like to a minimum. I was like, "I just rather be with a program that is for sure about me." And you guys wanted to send me home. Now you want to keep me. I'd rather be with a more stable program. And they were like, "Okay." So mind you, this was 2 weeks into my contract. So this was like mid October. So um after that they were like, okay, we'll get you on a flight here. And pretty much every week after that was, okay, we'll send you home now. And then when I'd ask, they'd be like, hold on, we got to figure something out. So it was just delay, delay, delay. And then I had to keep performing, keep doing my thing, because I'm still trying to like pad my stats so that my next team can be like, okay, she can give us results. But
Mhm.
after a while, I started sitting out because in the contract, they hadn't paid basically. They weren't giving my agent money. So, and they hadn't paid me. So, after the 15 days of that, you can sit out. And after 15 days after that, the contract is breached. So, the contract got breached on Tuesday. So, that'll tell you that's a full month of no payment. And now they owe me all this other stuff. But yeah, so basically, they just made me wait a full month after, well, not a full month of payment, but I wasn't playing for the last 2 weeks.
Mm. Mhm. That's a lot, man. I know
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely not what anyone expects. You think, okay, go overseas, do my little thing over here, adjust to the pro
Yeah,
game. Depending on the area you're from, depends on how much of a language barrier you have. Because if you go
right.
to, Spanish speaking country, you can pick up a couple words here and there. Because we all
Mm-hmm.
think we know a little Spanish, but we don't know for real, for
Right.
real. But we
You
think
know
we
a
do.
little bit, and they like to use their hands, so they you kind of pick up
Yeah,
with what's going on. This
yeah,
is
or somewhere that's a little more English friendly,
yeah.
something like that.
And
But
okay, that's the thing. When you say English friendly, it was times where like I would go get some fries or something at like the local cafe or whatever. Everything is in English. Like I know one time they had R. Kelly playing. I sat down one time they had Nicki Minaj on the thing. Like they're playing people that I know.
Mhm,
Like, why are y'all listening to this? And it was some songs that were like, why do y'all have this playing in a cafe? But I know they didn't know what it was saying. So it was just like the words on like some of the clothes or like the food aisles and stuff, like it's definitely English, but they
mhm,
had their own description on what it was as well. So it was like they're learning English and German in school. A lot of the products were actually English, but they just had their language under it. And then the music was definitely, a lot of the places had English music. Like it was a Pandora station. It wasn't like their music. So
mhm.
it was just odd to see. Like a lot of people did speak it like broken English, but it was just so weird because I could go into town and I would ask somebody something and they'll pick it up, they'll nod, like they'll be like, listen English, and you'll say one thing, they'll be like, okay, cool. But like the team was like nothing. So it's like, where were y'all at when they were learning English? What were y'all doing? But and it's funny because I'm not gonna say no names, but I know I had connected with this other person that wasn't a part of the program, and she was just basically telling me that like they do this with the Americans in this program a lot. Like they don't care about them. They try and make them feel a certain way because the girl that told me this, her cousin used to play and she quit just because of how mean the people were, how the coaches acted, and just how they treated people. It was like just a lot of talking about people, and I didn't get that because I didn't understand what they were saying, but I definitely got like the treat Americans differently um aspect of it. So that was just interesting. I know when there's 4 people that quit on the team, 2 quit within um the first 2 weeks, and like these are Bosnians, so it's like something's wrong with this. What's going on? Because there's no way 4 people quit before me, and like I wasn't the only one, so they could just do it because they lived out there, so it was like easy to just go
Mhm.
home. But
I don't understand why a program or organization would even entertain having American players if you're just not even going to respect them and treat them. Like, this is wrong, but I can understand if they were going to, like, even use them, like, treat me wrong, but hey, come play well for us. But, like, if you're not even going to utilize them playing well, I don't even understand why entertain it at all.
and that's so I was able to like discuss this with my friends and stuff, and like the whole business aspect. Like, yes, bring the American here and have them be the best player, have them do this, have them do that. But it's like you can't bring a player over expecting them to give you 30 and you're not treating them like. I remember that my teammates didn't even help me exchange my SIM card or change my money out. Like I had to go out and do that on my own. Even when I was asking, they were like, "We'll do it later. We'll do it later." But it's like I can't use my phone until I get this fixed. So
Mhm.
it was just like they're very standoffish with helping me like just adapt to the country and just like learning the plays and all of that. And like day 3, I'm getting yelled at like, "Why aren't you setting a screen?" I was like, "Sorry, like I don't understand what you were saying." Because you didn't say it in English. A lot of the
Mhm.
time they wouldn't speak English or they would use like broken sentences, but like when we were outside and like they would try to talk to me or like at the house, it would be better English. So it's like I felt like they were just like choosing not to speak English.
Mhm.
And then the team that I had was very young. That's really why it wasn't phasing me that bad at first because how many people? It was like 14 of us on the team. 8 of these people were 15 and 14. Then they had one 28-year old. She quit. They had a few, well, one was 21 and 23. They quit. So by the time like a week and a half into the season, there was a 24-year-old, there was me, two 21-year-olds, one 20-year-old, and then the rest were our guards, our point guards were 15. So it's like they wanted me to come and score and do this and do that, but I promise you, 75% of the time, we couldn't even cross half court. Like the way the ball would just not cross, and other teams would just have layup lines, layup lines, layup lines. So here we are, like, we're losing. I remember this one game we lost like 49 to 100 and something. Like, I've never lost this bad. And these were like really bad scores. And the pre games, the half times, and post games, none of it's in English. And I'll always ask, "What's going on? What's going on?" They always say it has nothing to do with you. But it's like, how am I supposed to learn from y'all mistakes if y'all will not tell me? And the coach, will not speak English. So we're just losing really bad. And I never knew what was going on. I was just trying to go off. And then I'm trying to go off like their body language. And like every game, there was like 2 to 3 girls that would just break down crying after he would say something. So it's like, I really don't know what's going on right now. And I just knew that this wasn't what was going on with other teams. I felt like it was
Mhm.
just my team. So I was like, I can't take this and think, okay, this is what I'm going to get all the time. Because, your first year, it's a learning experience. But I was like, I started to realize, like, this is really bad. Like, people are
Mhm.
quitting. People are always crying. Nobody speaks English. I'm not being accommodated at all. But they wanted me to do this and that. Like, and then just with them being young and the whole, like, standoff attitude and the mean girl aura, like I was like, okay, maybe this is a canon event. Like maybe they're in high school and they're going through that like phase. That's why I was like, I'm not gonna like read into that because they can go through that. It has nothing to do with me. But then it just kind of got tiring because it's like we can't suck and y'all are mean. It's like you have to pick one struggle. So
Mhm.
it just
Man, one thing I kind of realize and I do respect about you is your the way you frame your mind around things, your perspective around things. Um, you're able to see, like you're quickly able to realize the bigger picture. Like, okay, these are kids I'm playing with,
yeah,
so all right, cool. This is a foreign situation. Okay, this can't be the overall foreign experience. This has to be just this team. What they
hmm,
got going on here. I know a lot of times when we hit a pocket where things are rough, we kind of like our world is crumbling down. This is what it is. Like we take this situation or this period of life or whatever,
hmm,
and we blanket it over. That's what life is. But I like how you're able to, you know, kind of respect the moment for what it is. It's a moment.
yeah,
It's not the life, it's not the whole experience. I think um this says a lot about you because you're able to do that. And you had a good mindset overall in spite of everything that's happened
yeah.
that, past month. So do you like naturally have that or did you kind of like force yourself to have that through this process? Like, how did you get this mindset?
Um, I feel like I've grown, like, just to have that mindset, just like with everyday life, just because of um, I have a brother that has special needs, so like when we would be like him learning or just stuff that happened at home, it would be like, okay, why is my life like this? But then I'll just be like, there's other people that have other struggles, and it's not always going to be like this. So that was my way of getting past that. And then being in psychology, I've now taken jobs that put me in positions to work at like different fields of psychology. So I've worked in a hospital before. I've worked as a caregiver, and then this summer I was able to work as a behavior therapist, and that was with kids that have special needs. So it was just like some people didn't speak, but we have to get them to learn our colors. Like I remember it was sometimes where like, if a kid doesn't speak, you can't just be like, what color is this? Just be like,
Mhm,
I know here. A lot of it was like, okay, can we point to the green? And they'll point to the green. Like they're not gonna tell you anything, but we're gonna teach you how to do this. So it's like y'all are struggling with that. And then at first, like I had a client that not only did she not speak, but she would not hold eye contact. So to get her eye
mhm,
contact, like you had to have something that she wanted. So if she's playing with the toy, you take the toy and you'll be like, okay, point, and she'll point. And then she did speak, she just doesn't speak to you. So if you say something like by the end of the summer, she's doing something that she wasn't even doing before. So that's once again like you're not gonna stay there your whole life. You'll get to I think my life is a lot about progress. I'll say that. Like it's not always gonna be bad. Um it's just and it's funny because every time I tell this story to like a friend or something, they're like, oh, you're better than me. I would have did this and this, but it's just like I didn't know what to do. Honestly, it was kind of like it was more laughable, like not really, but it was more laughable because like, how did I end up here? I'm in a
mhm,
village in Bosnia. I came to play basketball and I'm just getting bullied. Like, what am
mhm,
I doing here? So it's like, but once I figured out that this is not the first year experience that everybody else has, and this program is very unprofessional, and the girls are
mhm,
mean, and I don't want to be here, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have better. So I'll just stick this out, and that'll be that. It won't be forever. I'll be home by Thanksgiving. I used to pray about the food. I did. I used to like when I really got stressed and like the food was really gross, like I had to force myself to eat. I remember I literally used to eat one meal a day. And just because it was like really hard to eat their food. And I used to save food on TikTok or be like, okay, I'm gonna have my Wingstop when I get back home. But that really did used to get me through, like thinking about what I'm gonna do when I get home.
mhm,
What am I going to accomplish in this time before I go back overseas? What will I bring next time so that my living experience might be a little easier? Just preparing, I think, kind of like dissociating myself. That's the word, dissociating myself from the situation. It was much easier. I feel like if I would have been more present in the moment, like all the time, it would have been much harder. But just being able to like remove myself from Bosnia and put myself on a team in Ireland or just put myself back home in a working situation until I was ready to play basketball again. Okay.
mhm,
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So,
mhm. I think that's psychology. That's a good psychology trick of sometimes you hear a lot in the mental health space or like the sports psychology space or whatever. Like, be present, be mindful. Things
mhm,
along that line. But when the environment you're in is not a pleasant environment, you have
mhm,
to do reverse. So now don't be present at all. Like, forget everything around you. Take your mind to another place to like basically distract yourself so you
mhm,
can be patient and wait it out through. Um and earlier you said like a word of my life is progress.
mhm,
Um I don't have the shirt on now, but that's like the word of my clothing brand. Progress is on the go. And it's kind of related to what you're saying. It's like just make progress, just make growth. It doesn't matter where you start, where you're from, what the progress look like, what the growth look like. Just make more, do
Right. Do more.
better.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was kind of like my thing. It's like, okay, you said progress. Oh, all right, cool. Like, hey, like,
It is because I mean I told you high school was like just some kid doing all the sports. Now I'm overseas. Like it doesn't
Mhm,
matter. Like I wasn't the kid that's been doing AAU since middle school, since whenever. But the progress is I'm still here. I know
mhm,
from my I don't know. I think my coach told me this, my high school coach, but I think I'm the first player to go overseas when it comes to like the people that she was able to coach and this and that. Don't quote me, but I'm definitely one of the top 5 because I don't think people have gone to continue to play basketball. I
mhm,
know one of my friends actually is back at the high school and she's coaching now. So a lot of women I feel like just don't pursue that overseas aspect because what you were saying, like men, like they're driven to do this, but like a lot of women really do love their majors, so they go like right into it, like the teaching, right into it, nursing, right into that,
mhm,
and basketball is just there to keep them going through school, maybe pay for school or something like that. But I really
mhm,
do enjoy the game. I enjoy running around, doing this, doing that.
mhm. So I want to go back to this now. Before you said you couldn't find any positive
Mhm.
out of this experience, but you literally just spoke about it, about how first off you got here. Like
Mhm.
you went from playing 1 year of A, you starting basketball late to being able to say, I'm a pro.
Mhm.
That's number one. Two, you did make progress within within a month of you going through hell with all the BS. You still made progress. Matter of fact, you started balling to where they wanted you back.
That was the
That's
word I
number
was going to
two.
use when you asked. I was going to say hell.
Oh yeah, you could say that. Um, yeah, you did with all that, but then you still came back and like you started balling out. And then three, you survived it. Like
Yeah.
you didn't die. It ain't like you stuck over there still. Like you
Mm-mm.
back home. So in spite of all that crap that happened those 4 weeks,
Yeah.
you can
I
say that at
survived.
least now.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah. And now now you have some dope experience to bring to a podcast and to bring to friends. And when you
Yeah.
get older, you're like, girl, you don't believe my first trip overseas.
I was a
Now you got
captain.
all this.
But that's also, I was a little upset about this because while Bosnia is just not one of those places where I'm like, I need to visit there, I will say
Mhm,
that I feel like it's tainted my perspective. It's definitely not a place that I'll be back anytime soon, but I hate to have that be the only experience that I had out there. I just have no reason to go back out there now. Um, like I said, it wasn't just like on my wish list, but right now, I'm never going back. I'll say like when I'm older and traveling, but
mhm.
nope.
All right. Okay. Another time out. Okay. Look, if you got to this point, you have to be enjoying the episode. Like you have to. At this point in the episode, you're enjoying it. So help me help you. Just if you're on Apple right now and you're on your phone, okay, just take your phone, press the subscribe button. It's right there. Just do that with me. Even if on your laptop, take your mouse, boom, click over, boom, do your thing. Now you subscribe. Now you linked in because you don't want to miss the next great episode that I have. But doing stuff like this helps the episode grow, makes the show grow, and the podcast grow so I can keep getting great guests and keep doing great interviews. So if you listen on Apple or Spotify, take a second, look at your phone, press the follow button, okay? And share with a friend or two because you'll find a value in this. You want to have this conversation with your friends so they can have the same value. Now the whole basketball community can grow. All right. Thank you for listening so far. I'm gonna get out your way. Let's get back to the episode. Appreciate you. Okay, so now at this point, you're back home. You're
Mhm.
chilling.
Mhm.
Everything is kosher.
Mhm.
Everything's good. What is your next move? What are you looking at? Doing next. What's the process of getting to the next team?
So my agent knows that I want to continue to play, so he couldn't do anything while I was stuck over there and we were still in contract because legally they needed to sign the termination papers. So Tuesday was the day that what was it? No, it was really Wednesday that they sent the termination paperwork over to the club, because once the contract was reached, it only needs to be one sided, not both of them had to sign it. So
Mhm.
now that basically I have to wait, like they have to process, like, so we can say like, okay, she's off this team. And so once all that stuff is done, he obviously already has his connections. Like, he's looking, he's doing this. So then he just basically told me, stay in shape, and I'm going to try to find you something. Basically, like, the second half of the season is January, so hopefully I'll be back somewhere overseas by the end of January, or by the end of December.
Mhm.
So I just have to stay in shape pretty much. I'm trying to gain my weight back, get back to lifting, because we also didn't have a weight room. And the gym was like, I know a lot of gyms have this overseas, but it was like, it was kind of like a YMCA. So it was like when we weren't practicing, there were other things going on in the gym. It wasn't like you can just go in and shoot. You can't go in on your own time. It was like you had a slot and that was all you
Mhm.
had. So just basically step my game up, get back to where I was, where they wanted to keep me, and then
Mhm.
past that and be ready for the next team. Because I would hate to go overseas, and I have asthma, so I really do have to maintain a certain um it was like athleticism or whatever. So like, just so I
Yeah, I
can
got
like stick to being with them, because I could be in shape, but if my lungs aren't in shape, they're gonna be like, yeah, go home. But I want to
you.
be
Mhm.
able to say like, okay, that wasn't what sent me home. This situation, I was happy to be home, but I don't want to go over there and them not want me because I'm not in shape. So
Mhm.
like, they even told me, they're like, you're in shape, you're doing this, you're just not performing how we want you to. And I knew why. Um, but the fact that even when I got there, I missed their first month of conditioning, and I was already running better than like 70% of the team. So that really should have been my first red flag. It was just like getting there and skipping like scrimmages and all that. And there's people behind me that are like dying. Like, not
Mhm.
no asthma, nothing, just like dying. I was like, well, what were you guys doing? But yeah. So I just gotta prepare myself for the next, and I'm gonna try and like, I think the first week and a half, 2 weeks is just like me getting my mindset back together, because I don't want to bring this experience onto my next experience. I want everything to be my next experience to be my first experience. I think
Mhm.
that was my learning experience, but now I want to play basketball and learn that way.
Mhm. It sounds like you had a kind of what guys have to deal with, kind of when you like a semi-pro team over here or whatever. You
Hmm.
don't have like the luxury of a high level college or just like a decent college, or of course the pro guys. You have to work around other schedules and you can't shoot around how you want to.
Hmm.
Um, but also it feels like you do have like I said earlier, you have a good perspective on everything. So in spite of everything that's happened, you have the right mindset. And like you said, the last piece of this transformation I guess you go through is not just the body but the mental. What do you plan to do to get your mindset back right to where you're not stuck in experience A? You can translate over to experience B with the right mindset to move on and progress.
Um, well, I feel like this experience like really had brought me down, and like my personality wasn't the same, this and that. But everybody knows, like, basketball wise too, I'm always smiling. I'm always like the silly person that like keep the practices going. Like, okay, we'll make a joke, but let's do this. So I feel like
Hmm.
I'm always going. So um even just being home, I've been smiling. I hadn't smiled in weeks. Like, just being able to feel like myself again. I'm already like, I know when I realized like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I ordered some new shoes. So now I have these new shoes. I gotta wear them in. So that's like just steps to set myself up. Like, I'm not just gonna buy new shoes
Hmm.
just to, have them or want to return them. No, I'm gonna put them on. We're gonna do some workouts. We're gonna get them ready for the next team. Um, just like little things to keep me going. the fact that I lost weight. Okay, now what am I gonna cook to gain that back, and how am I gonna gain this weight without having it like bring me down? Like not just gain weight, but muscle too. So just like
Mm,
little things to set myself up to be successful.
mm. While you at it, you can buy me some shoes too, since we just talking about buying
Oh
shoes.
no,
Um,
that broke my bank.
nah, man. I'm glad you're doing better though, like for real.
Thank you.
Like, cause that can be like I can see how all of that can be um somewhat traumatizing. You know, it can be a lot to deal with and to process because you have this dream and image of what, oh, I'm about to go overseas and do my thing. You feel me? About, oh, I'm finna get off and so on and
Hmm.
so forth. You know, like you said, get my foot in the door to the overseas experience and you get punched in the mouth. And it's like,
Yeah, your toes get slammed to the
what?
door. I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
just put your foot in a little bit. No, they didn't slam that door on my toes so many times. I was trying to pull my foot back out, but that was it was a lot. And
Mm,
it's so funny because like in the moment, like I can laugh about it now barely, but like a week ago it was stressful because for
mhm,
one, like no English, different culture, um borders, airport's 4 hours away, like this isn't a town, this is a village. So it's like I felt so isolated because it was like I'm literally in the middle of nowhere
mhm,
and I have to wait until they break this contract. So it's like surrounded by people that don't like me, a program that doesn't respect me. What are we doing? Like send me home.
yeah.
So yeah, that was the hardest part. Being over there and just feeling like everybody was against you.
Mm,
And then everybody back home was like, keep your head up, you're blessed to be there. And it's like, okay, well you come over here too. Like it's just always gonna be okay. It's really hard to hear it's gonna be okay, or it's a blessing that you got to play overseas and they're not experiencing like.
mhm,
And I know in college, like I used to sell plates and I'm always the one that's cooking. So this is coming from somebody that's like, okay, the food isn't good, I'm gonna cook. But then the food is also gross. Like I'm always cooking, always trying new things. So if you would ask anybody, they'll always say I'm eating. So that took a lot of my personality as well because I was not eating anything.
mm,
And then just like to feel hated and then have that confirmed, I'm not this silly, goofy person anymore. I'm just kind of like closed off. So that took even more away. So this is like, I didn't even feel like myself. I think that also came with the dissociation of it. But it was like,
mm,
I wasn't even there, really. My body was there, but I was not there.
mm, 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 mm. Oof. You got it all out? You feel a little better now?
I do. And it's just, yeah, I do. It was funny though, because usually, like, when you join a new team, like AAU or college or whatever, like, I don't know how boys do, but girls, like, whenever it's a new team, we always have a group chat. They never even put me in their group chat with coach, nothing. Like, I would literally see their phone and it would be labeled our program. And I had WhatsApp, like, they never put me in that. Um, what we also do is we follow each other on Instagram. Not every social media, but Instagram is definitely like when you have a new team every year, everybody just put their Instagram in, like, hey, my name is this. We didn't do that. No, we
Mm,
didn't have no time. Like, we didn't follow each other, nobody on the team. And I was never in the group chat. So they would know when practice was, but I would have a teammate that would message me like 10:30, 11:45, 12:30 a.m. Like, yeah, we have practice this time in the morning. So it was like I always knew when practice was. I had to stay up. I was already doing that, but if I would have went to sleep at 10, I would have missed practice. I missed practice one time actually, and we had morning and night practices. And he was like, "Why weren't you at morning practice?" And I checked my phone and I was like, "Did you guys tell me?" And he was like, no, somebody knocked on your door." Like, and it was frustrating because I'm like I'm built in a way that I need to like communication. It has to be there. So it's like for
Mm-hmm.
a coach to not be communicating as well, like you're grown. These girls are 15, whatever, like they're going through whatever phases they need to go through. But the fact that the coach, the assistant coach, the president, nobody was doing what they needed to do. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is just, I was built, this is a system that was built for the Americans to fail. And I know somebody told me that I'm just this been like that, but I'm just the first actually fought back against like, the stuff that they were going through, what they were putting the Americans through. Like back here, if you like give some money, like, okay, let's just say your living situation isn't best. If you have the money and you want to pay for it, you're going to get a better living situation. If you don't like the food, you spend some money, you're going to get the food that you want. Like, but overseas, it's like you can't just throw money at a situation to make your life better. It was just, it was just bad. Like, it wasn't like, I'll pay some extra money to get good food. I'll pay some extra money to get in the gym. It was their rules, so it was like, there's nothing I could do but be there.
Mm. Was that their level of politics, do you think?
I think it was that town.
Mm.
I think that town was just like they've had those rules for 45 years, like 45 years. So why would they change it now? You know what I'm saying? Like everything was set in stone. It could be dead wrong, but who's gonna challenge them? It's a culture thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even like with cultures are different, so conspiracies and all that, like um over there, I guess. Well, for one, they smoke everywhere, like indoors, all that. They're smoking. It doesn't matter. Like I remember we went to a restaurant. It's people going through 2 to 3 cigarettes before the food even get there. Like that's just insane to me. But to them, it's like,
Right.
and if you question them, they're like, "Who's this guy? Like, what is she talking about?" But it's just like stuff that, like the ketchup and all that. Like once again, that's not like crazy, but it's still like crazy to me. If you get
Mm-hmm.
sick as a baby, like I think one of the things that I read is like they're gonna put like wrap the baby's feet in vodka. Like to me, what are you doing? Like that's just different for me. Like obviously everybody has their own things, but if you question that culture, they do take offense to that. So it was also really hard trying to navigate there culturally because I didn't know what I could ask and what would be considered like disrespectful.
Mm. Whew. All right. I think we should wrap this up here.
Yeah.
Um, so you're good. You're
Yes,
sure
I am.
everything's fine.
I'm happy to see where
Okay.
this process takes me, where I'll be next, all that good stuff.
I hope that you can continue to smile about this. You can continue to laugh about it, and at some point you're just gonna be just gonna have a book out or whatever. I don't know what you're gonna do, and it's just like,
Maybe I'll start
ooh,
a podcast on where not to go overseas. This will be my first thing on the list.
oh man. If you do, let me know. I'll give you, a little help
You gotta
with
give
it.
me
So
tips. Thanks.
yeah, but yeah, man. Anything else you want to leave the people with before we get out of here?
Let's see. Just the whole progress aspect. Or just like it's a mindset. I know that's really hard to hear because I hate when coaches used to be like conditioning is a mindset, but everything really is. If something isn't going your way, it doesn't have to stay that way. Definitely be vocal. That was one thing that stood with me while I was over there. Some people that had played overseas before told me if you don't like something, tell your agent. If you wanted to change, tell your agent. Like just because this is your foot in the door doesn't mean you have to stay with everything that's going on. Like if you feel like it's wrong, it's wrong. So I feel like just remembering that really did help me. I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. Like they got what they could out of me. It's not gonna work. I'm not gonna be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like even if it gets bad, like not every experience is gonna be the same. So every experience is gonna be different overseas. I will say don't I tried not to go in with expectations. I don't feel like I did, but I just wasn't expecting this. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like everybody's experience, this doesn't happen a lot. Um, because the program overall was very unprofessional. Like, clearly there's going to be some things that you don't like, some things that you're not used to, but I would say give it time. A lot of the time you will deal with culture shock just because it's different. It's not intended to be a burden. It's just their lifestyle compared to yours. What you do might be different for them as well. So ask a lot of questions. Definitely reach out to players that play, or if you're overseas already, it's nice to get in contact with other players just to be like, hey, is this normal? Or just asking about their experience. It does keep you sane because a lot of the time being over there with like a time difference, it is hard to contact people back here unless you like have people that know like, okay, this is when we can talk. But it's nice to have friends over there that, can talk through stuff. So it won't always be bad. That was my takeaway from that. It won't always be bad. If you like it, then you'll stay with it. But it's okay
Mhm.
to realize that maybe it's not for you, and it's okay to maybe feel like certain things aren't for you. Might not be the program, the players, this and that. You'll figure it out. That's my takeaway.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway to have
Yeah,
because this could have discouraged some people to be like, I don't know about overseas guys. Like,
it did to me.
that's what's gonna be like. Yeah, I don't think that's surprising because, like you said, it's your foot in the door. You think that I'm overseas now, and your mind could have easily just been like, "Oh, this is all overseas. Forget that. I'm gonna go back
Yeah.
home and whatever." But like I said before, you have a good mindset. You're able to just say, "Okay, this is just this specific situation. This isn't
Hmm.
the overall story of what overseas is like." So, hopefully, this didn't discourage everybody. But um, I did want to have this because you need, both sides of it. You need you know, you
The good
see
and the
players going overseas. Yeah, you need the good. Like, okay, they went overseas and they went pro, and they went to the league, the NBA after that, or they went overseas, made all this money. They got these cars when they come back home, and they're like,
bad.
oh snap, they balling. Da, 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 da. You need the other side where it's like, hey, uh, yeah, I was depressed, bro. I only stayed over there for a month because organization treated me like crap and all this other stuff going on. And
Yeah.
I've had other guys who were overseas, and they talked about the disrespect of one dude said he got spit on when he was like in the game. He just like word, like is what
Bit
we
on.
doing here? Like,
And I've heard like more
yeah,
stories for like men, but I've like even like with women, like it's just hard to get negative stories a lot. A lot of the people obviously they say like culturally like people are gonna stare. They're gonna have questions, they're gonna
mhm,
do this. But I've never really heard like outside of sending people home for not being tall enough or athletic enough, it's never just been like straight up disrespect. So I guess I was my learning story.
yeah. He
So
should
I
listen to the
feel like I got the
podcast.
worst
You
of the
should
worst. I
be.
don't feel like anything can shock me now.
See, now you just like your mindset is a whole different thing. Like, oh, I dealt with this. This was 10 times worse than what them going through now. So, you built up a little more armor on your
I,
warrior mindset. So,
I did.
see, one more good thing. So you just, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah, um, I enjoyed this.
Yeah.
It was very insightful. Um, I think they got something out of this too. I think they got, like you said, the good and the bad, the duality of it, both sides of the overseas experience now. So, um, but I think you all should like follow her on social media and be like, yo,
Yes.
I'm
Follow
glad you're
my
okay.
journey.
Yeah, follow the new journey.
Yeah,
She mentioned her YouTube, Chef Nadia. She doing her thing over there.
I am.
Um,
If I didn't play
what else you got?
basketball, I would be in culinary school. I'll say that.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So we need to meet up one day so I can be the taste tester of your food
I
and
want to do events.
hook me up.
Eventually, I'll have a
Okay.
restaurant, but that's like further down the line. When I'm older, not playing. This is like one of the side things that I'm gonna do.
So what does psychology come in? Is that just like a 9 to 5 thing?
I like working in the medical field, but I know I'm not a nursing school type of person. I'm not gonna stay up until 4 a.m. studying. I do want to
Mhm.
know why people act the way they do, but nursing is so broad. Um, I want to be more hands on because I've been able to work, like I said, in the hospital. I enjoy that. So I think I'm gonna do get a certification and like maybe work as an EMT and then eventually a paramedic. But I feel like I've gained my psychology knowledge. I would always love to learn more. I just don't want to go back to school for that because like
Mm-hmm.
counseling, I feel like I would enjoy that. Um, relationship, family, but not a lot of like sit down. Don't want to do nursing school, so I'm still figuring it out.
I got you. Well, hopefully you gain a lot of more fans and followers from this interview, and they're
Yes.
like, wishing you the best on wherever you go. Especially, I don't know when it's dropping, but on your journey to get to the new team,
Yeah.
um, and whatever you got, whatever else you got going on in life, get a couple YouTube subscribers, and I don't know. I do wish you the best moving forward.
Thank
But where can the people keep in touch with you and find out what else you got going on?
I have Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I don't really use my other Twitter is not really a big thing for me, Facebook either, but I feel like Instagram and TikTok, and I just started the YouTube when I went overseas because I wanted to like film this journey. So I do have like 3 or 4 videos. I
Hmm.
stopped when stuff started getting like really depressing, but I still recorded. So probably this weekend I'll be able to put together kind of what we talked about in this podcast, but
Hmm.
like just a little bit of what's my journey and coming back home. So I'm gonna be more active with YouTube. I do want to get into it. I just didn't want to be like the person this giving like I want people to know what's going on because I feel like I have a really entertaining life. I move a lot. I always
Hmm.
have crazy stories, but I don't want people to know everything about my life. So it's kind of
Hmm.
contradicting, but I don't know. I enjoy telling stories. People always tell me I should have been did YouTube, but I don't. I don't want to tell y'all like my middle name, why I'm like like when people walk and you're like, okay, you live here. I don't want people to
Yeah.
know that. So I haven't decided. Most of the time I'm cooking on my YouTube. More of
Hmm.
my stories come on TikTok because you can just whip your phone out, tell a story, post it, boom. YouTube is a little bit more editing, but yeah, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram.
Yeah. So y'all go follow it there, show us some love. I'm gonna have the links below so you guys don't have to do the extra typing and stuff because I don't like to do the extra typing and stuff. So I feel you and help you out. But some helping you out, need you to help me out
Yes.
and make sure that you subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. It's a dope podcast. I got finally got the first, lady overseas hooper. I got like 4 or 5 guys. I need to go back and watch them. I think more than that. Yeah, I got more than that. I got like 5 to 10 guys. You feel me? The
Yeah,
first lady. I got,
I'm honored.
you feel me? Like, I'm honored you came on here. You feel me? It means a lot to me. So, um, got high school hoopers. I got D1, D2 hoopers. Like, I got a lot of hoopers over here, man.
This is
Not to mention the coaches and pro level people. I got a lot of people going on. But y'all can't miss out on this. But you will if you're not subscribed. Okay?
I
That's
know
kind
my
of how it
family
is.
gonna be commenting on this video probably because they love YouTube. When I used to send links, like I remember my first game, they're having a whole conversation in the comments chat, like the chat area. But it's like my grandma would be like, "Does anybody else's sound not working?" Like they're having a whole like group chat. Like, oh my god, take this to the group chat. They just love commenting on stuff. I know they were really happy I did a YouTube, but they definitely they'll be like, "Okay, yeah, can we see this too?" They love YouTube, so you'll probably get a lot of comments from my family.
That's going to be funny. Um, I'm going to just let you answer their questions then because that's your family. I'm going to keep it family affair and let y'all handle
Yeah,
that.
it'll be like a group chat
Um,
under your comment box.
hey, it might help the algorithm out. So, it is what it is. Um, yeah, if you're not a fan of YouTube, you like to listen, you're on the audio side, go to Spotify. If you listen on Spotify or Apple, subscribe there too. Show me some love. You feel me? And if you want to follow me on social media, you don't have to. I understand. Because like her, I don't like to do like the social stuff,
Mhm.
but it is social media.
Yeah.
So you can follow me there. Um, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, um, TikTok. I'm not as active. I don't know why I mentioned all of them. I'm not as active on all of them. I'm kind of leading y'all astray. I'm sorry, guys. I just kind of realized that. But if you want to follow me, do your thing there. It's BeBall Jones. It's BE Ball Jones. Matter of fact, just Google me. I'll come up and do your thing there. Okay. Um, anything else? Oh, every Friday I got hoop jams. You feel me? Just a quick little mindset thing. We talked about a lot of mindset here, and I do a lot of mindset stuff every Friday on hoop jams. It's a little mental how tos, little tools for you to help your game out, help your mindset out. A little inspiration, and just change your perspective on how you see things. That's all it is. 3 little simple things I do. If you want to show me some love there, it's every Friday. It's only about 5 minutes. Like, come on, man. You got 5 minutes. You listen to like a whole hour and a half podcast. You got
Yeah.
this 5 minutes on Friday. It's come on. But progress is on the go. You want to get a t-shirt, it's in below. It's great. I think that's it. If it's not it, go listen to another video where I did say everything and do that other stuff too. Because I probably forgot something. But I think that's it. If it isn't, I'm sorry. If it is, then good job, B. Pat myself on the back. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Appreciate you again, Nadia, for coming on, sharing your story. And that's it, guys. See you next week.
Bye.